Tonight, AEW presents the special Blood and Guts edition of AEW Dynamite on TBS from the First Horizon Coliseum in Greensboro, North Carolina, as we get closer and closer to AEW Full Gear later on this month, and being one of the standout episodes of Dynamite on the calendar. Does Tony Khan and his creative team have some major surprises up his sleeve? We're going to let you know 5 possible major surprises that could take place tonight live on AEW Dynamite Blood and Guts. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. And tonight is the special Blood and Guts edition of AEW Dynamite. Certainly a standout episode of AEW's flagship show that everyone looks forward to throughout the calendar year. And tonight's episode is going to be taking place from the First Horizon Coliseum in Greensboro, North Carolina. And it's going to be an historic episode for All Elite Wrestling because for the first time, we're not only having a men's Blood and Guts match, but we're also having a women's Blood and Guts match in what is going to be an extra special jam-packed episode of the show, and certainly there could be some big surprises in store. So you've got to get ready for the mayhem indeed as AEW arrives in Greensboro tonight for the annual Blood and Guts version of Dynamite. And as I mentioned, for the first time, women will be climbing inside the double-ringed steel structure as well. So let's get into 5 possible major surprises that could be set to take place tonight live on Dynamite Blood and Guts, beginning with a bit of an update as to the runtime of the show as well. Make sure, however you watch AEW programming, whether that's streaming on HBO Max, whether that's over here in the UK on Triller TV, or maybe even on ITV4 when it does air, or watching live or TBS, however you watch around the world. Actually, let me know in the chat where you watch around the world. Let me know in the comments section. I have to make sure that you're up to speed when it comes to how long the episode is going to be, because obviously we're getting a men's and women's Blood and Guts match for the first time, specifically during the same broadcast. And you might say, well, these Blood and Guts matches last for quite some time. How are they going to cram that in to 2 hours? Well, the simple answer is they are not going to be able to cram it into 2 hours, because tonight's episode will be 2.5 hours long to accommodate the extended nature of Blood and Guts matches. In addition to that, there is another match that's also set for the show that we'll be talking about in just a bit. So this is an extra special, not only episode of Dynamite because of the Blood and Guts matches for both the men's and women's side of things, but also it's going to be an extra special long episode of Dynamite as well. So I don't know if it's going to be a case of it's 2.5 hours plus an overrun. Of course, a lot of the time AEW Dynamite does have an overrun. Of course, they have a very good relationship with Warner Brothers Discovery, and they're more than willing to give them time, especially for big shows like this that tend to do better in terms of the ratings, in terms of viewership numbers. Of course, we know that not only AEW, but also pro wrestling in general has suffered from the Nielsen Big Data Plus panel that has been implemented recently. So you would think if All Elite Wrestling have an extended show, one of their biggest shows of the year, they'll be hoping for some good viewership numbers. We'll have to wait and see indeed how well it does. And of course, once those numbers come out, we'll let you know in a future video. So tonight's episode is an extended show, 2.5 hours. So remember that if you are watching it. Next up, are we going to get more information when it comes to the AEW National Championship? Of course, it was announced last week by AEW President, CEO, Head of Creative, General Manager, etc. All of these different titles that he has, Tony Khan, that there was going to be a brand new championship, yet another men's singles title being added to All Elite Wrestling in the form of the AEW National Championship. Now, as I mentioned, President Tony Khan officially announced the creation of the title last week. He revealed it on social media prior to the show. It'll be interesting to see tonight if he does any other social media announcements prior to the show. He does have this habit now of sort of going live on social media and revealing or just previewing the show, sometimes making announcements, etc., etc. Now, Khan revealed that the inaugural AEW National Champion will be crowned at the upcoming Full Gear pay-per-view on Saturday, November 22nd in a casino gauntlet match. Now, we do have some names that have already been announced for the upcoming casino gauntlet match at AEW Full Gear. For example, during this past weekend's AEW Collision, it was announced that both members of Jet Speed are going to be involved in the casino gauntlet match. So far, we've got the Hurt Syndicate's Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin. We've also got Ricochet in there as well. So you would think tonight, live on AEW Dynamite, the Blood and Guts edition of the show, we'll probably have more details as to who's going to be in that casino gauntlet match. Maybe we'll have a little bit more information when it comes to what the championship is going to look like, plans for it moving forward. Khan did actually reveal the sort of unique stipulation for this new title, noting that it will be defended across multiple promotions, including Ring of Honor and New Japan Strong, probably CMLL as well. In his announcement, Khan paid homage to wrestling's past, acknowledging the national championship name and its storied history in legendary territories like Georgia Championship Wrestling and Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling. That did create some controversy, to say the very least, in the form of the NWA's current national champion as well, because of course the NWA does exist. The national championship, which does have that lineage, does exist. So there was some pushback from the current NWA national heavyweight champion, Mike Mondo. He said the following, quote, "Let me be clear, there is only one NWA and there is only one prestigious national championship that holds legit lineage and has for decades. So to Tony Khan or anyone else confused, here's the legit title with the company it belongs to and the legit national champion. My name is Mike Mondo." Now, we have to stress as well that AEW, I think, is still involved in this sort of trademark dispute with Shockwave of the NWA. So I don't know. This doesn't really infringe on anything, of course. Anyone can call their title the National Championship. But I suppose it's when Khan spoke about the lineage of the National Championship, Georgia Championship Wrestling, that led to some controversy about that. But I do expect this evening to get more information about the National Championship in AEW. Maybe even because of the backlash and controversy, they kind of tweak the name. That could be possible. Maybe we'll get a look at the title. Most likely, we're probably going to get more people added to the Casino Gauntlet match at Full Gear, probably in the form of some backstage vignettes or pre-tapes, but expect to get more details on that as well. And before I move on to the next number on this countdown list, a reminder, this video is brought to you in collaboration with all of our great affiliates. That includes NordVPN. Now, tonight's episode of AEW Dynamite Blood and Guts is airing on TBS in the United States or on HBO Max. But you can also get AEW's entire back catalogue, including pay-per-views, including Dynamites, including Collisions, including Rampages, including Dark and Dark Elevation, every single episode of those shows that I mentioned as part of a Triller TV subscription. Yes, if you go to Triller TV and you get AEW Plus over here in the UK, as I mentioned, you get live episodes of Dynamite, Collision. In addition, you get that back catalogue that I was talking about, pay-per-views, old episodes of Dynamite going to the first ever one, or old episodes of Collision, Rampage, Dark Elevation, for a very minimal monthly price. In addition to that, you get discounted pay-per-views. You can buy pay-per-view bundles, which is what I do to save myself some money. For instance, I bought the Wrestle Dream and AEW World's End pay-per-view bundle because I saved some money being an AEW Plus subscriber. So you can do so too. All you've got to do is get a VPN, change your location to an international territory like here in the UK, and make the most of that Triller TV AEW Plus subscription. In addition to that, if you've got Netflix, then you can watch all of your WWE content through one Netflix subscription as well. It's a pretty good deal, isn't it? You can get up to 77% off plus 3 months extra. All you've got to do is use our QR code, or you can use our custom link. That's nordvpn.com/WN365. Once again, that's nordvpn.com/WN365. You'll be saving yourself some money and supporting this channel in the process. Now let's move on and talk about a Falls Count Anywhere match. Yes, Falls Count Anywhere match is going to be taking place this evening. It's going to be pitting the AEW World Champion Hangman Adam Page against 1/3 of the AEW World Trios Champions in Powerhouse Hobbs of the Ops. Of course, this goes into the AEW World Championship match that is scheduled for Full Gear, as once again Hangman Adam Page defends his AEW World Championship against another member of the Ops, one other third of the AEW World Trios Champions in Samoa Joe. The men's AEW World Champion Hangman Page will be in action in Greensboro. He remains in pursuit of revenge against the Ops for their recent attacks on him. Now, he will get an opportunity to get his hands on Samoa Joe at Full Gear once more, but tonight his focus, as I mentioned, is on Powerhouse Hobbs. Now, if you cast your mind back to last Wednesday's episode of AEW Dynamite, Powerhouse Hobbs sent the AEW World Champion flying through a table off the stage before forcing Hangman Page's tag team partner Hook to tap out to a brutal torture rack, with the Ops retaining the AEW World Trios Championships in the process. Now, Hobbs and Page will go head-to-head in singles competition, actually for the first time in about 4 years. The last time they faced off was all the way back in 2021. Now, it's going to be interesting because you've got blood and guts matches happening this evening. So that's chaos, weapons, violence, everything you can possibly think of. And that's also what we're going to get in this match too, because it's Falls Count Anywhere. They're going to be taking part in this non-title Falls Count Anywhere match in the First Horizon Coliseum. Now, are we going to see something similar that we saw last week? Is Hangman Page going to go from the stage through a table? This time, is it going to be for Powerhouse Hobbs? Will Hangman be able to successfully neutralize one of the ops ahead of Full Gear, or can Hobbs get the better of the world champion once again? You do have to think, actually, as well, don't you, that given that it's a Falls Count Anywhere match, are we going to see a situation where maybe the ops get involved? Are we going to see run-ins from Hook and maybe from Eddie Kingston, who of course teamed up with Hook and Hangman Page last week in that AEW World Trios Championship match? So this is a Falls Count Anywhere match, and I wouldn't expect it just to involve Hangman Adam Page and Powerhouse Hobbs. I think we could probably get a maybe loose version of a, I don't know, I say a stadium stampede or something like that. I don't know, what you could possibly get, but this could turn into something that isn't just necessarily about Falls Count Anywhere between these two. Maybe it turns into anarchy in the arena without being actually explicitly that. So I would expect interference. I would expect brawls. I would expect probably blood as well. It is blood and guts. So. And it is AEW, so certainly I don't think you can rule out probably everyone getting wearing the Crimson Mask in this one, if you will. But Hangman Page, I think, of course, is going to win this one, and it will set up more for what's going to happen at AEW Full Gear. Interestingly, with all of the violence that has been going on for this one, it'll be interesting to see if the AEW World Championship match does remain as just a regular singles match. It feels like, given the violence, given the attacks, the escalation could continue. So also don't be shocked if we find out that a stipulation is added to that AEW World Championship match. Now let's get into what everyone is coming to watch this evening. That is these blood and guts matches. First of all, let's begin with some history, because Mercedes Moné, Tekla, Sky Blue, Julia Hart, Megan Bayne, Marina Shafir, Chris Statlander, Timeless, Toni Storm, Willow Nightingale, Jamie Hayter, Mina Shirakawa, and Harley Cameron will all have their names etched into the history books this evening, because they will become the first women ever to compete in a blood and guts match, and also the first wrestlers to compete in an expanded 6 versus 6 version of the match as well. Usually you have sort of 5v5 or 4v4, or sometimes you can have multiple teams. This is kind of the War Games kind of style match, isn't it? But this time we've got 6 versus 6. It's going to be interesting to see how they navigate this, because even though there's 2 rings and there's the double cage, 12 people inside 2 rings can get very busy very quickly. Now, the rumblings of a women's blood and guts match began actually months ago. It kind of dates back to the summer's all-star tag team matches that became quite synonymous with the women's division, particularly on episodes of AEW Collision. The lineups have changed a few times over the last few months, because there have been injuries that have really hurt the women's division in All Elite Wrestling. The most recent example is Queen Aminata was probably going to be involved in this match. She got removed and replaced by Mina Shirakawa because of the injury that she suffered. Now, in terms of the advantage, last week on AEW Collision, Tekla defeated Harley Cameron to secure the advantage for her team. As a result, the heel team will enter first. They hold the numerical advantage over their opponents until all of the competitors are in the ring. Leading the heel team is the TBS champion Mercedes Moné, who's, of course, riding high. This week, she had the honor, if you will, of clocking in at number 1 on the 2025 PWI Women's 250 and defending one of her 12 bouts this past weekend in Italy too. But despite her many accolades, one thing she isn't well versed in is this War Games blood and guts style match. Now, as far as I'm aware, I don't think Mercedes Moné has ever been in a War Games or blood and guts match. She has been in Hell in a Cell matches, steel cage matches, street fights, but I think this is the first time she's entering the double cage. Now, the leader of the opposing team is very much opposite. It's the AEW Women's World Champion and Mercedes Moné's Full Gear opponent in Chris Statlander, and she's very, very familiar with getting into hardcore matches in AEW. She's had Chicago street fights at All Out. She's been involved in, thumbtacks, blood, you can possibly think of it. So Statlander is very familiar with this. Both team leaders enter the match with interesting team dynamics with the other woman in the match. Moné is kind of the outlier amongst her team. She hasn't worked with them before this evening. She also has pretty much a rivalry of every single member of the babyface team dating back to her AEW debut. I mean, Moné's had matches against Timeless Toni Storm at All in Texas. Of course, Chris Statland, she's facing at Full Gear, rather, and she's defeated for the TBS Championship. Willow Nightingale, she actually defeated her for the TBS title to become the champion in the first place. She's had matches with Mina Shirakawa, Jamie Hayter, and Harley Cameron. Of course, Harley Cameron had the Moné puppet and everything like that as well. So every single person will be wanting a piece of Mercedes Moné, the CEO. Statlander, of course, does have the unfinished business with Moné. Also, Megan Bayne, the Triangle of Madness, and Marina Shafir. Still, one of the major factors for her heading into this evening is this lingering tension between Chris Statlander and Willow Nightingale. They've been friends, not friends, enemies. They've had street fights, singles matches, you name it. Now, they have come to each other's rescue indirectly in recent weeks, but they've really made no progress towards a reconciliation. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. Now, with all of this going on, as well with the inaugural AEW Women's Blood and Guts match, there's also the tournament to crown the inaugural AEW Women's World Tag Team Champions as well. So there's a lot of history going on right now in the women's division in All Elite Wrestling, and it's going to be interesting to see with Full Gear on the horizon just who's going to come out on top. And finally, we've also got the men's Blood and Guts match as well. It's the Death Riders facing off against Darby Allin, Mark Briscoe, Orange Cassidy, Roderick Strong, and also Kyle O'Reilly. Now, as of right now, we don't know which Blood and Guts match is going to be the main event. Very easily could be this one, or possibly could be the Women's Blood and Guts match. And this is really sort of centering around, isn't it, the ongoing war between Jon Moxley and Darby Allin. It will reach, seemingly, one would think, a bloody conclusion in Blood and Guts this evening, and make sure you will see blood in this one. Jon Moxley's in it, Darby Allin's in it. There's going to be blood. Mark Briscoe's in there. Like, there is a very much a certain there will be blood in this match, no doubt about it. Now, Moxley, backed by the Death Riders, he's been a little bit different since losing to Darby Allin in that I Quit match at AEW Wrestle Dream. We've seen him take really the easy way out and do things that maybe the AEW World Champion Jon Moxley maybe wouldn't have done. We've seen him punch referees, allow his teammates to interfere, do his leg work, and really take the easy way out in a lot of the matches to avoid surrendering yet again. Is that something that is playing on in his head? Now, Darby's kind of become an unofficial member or an affiliate of the conglomeration, and Roderick Strong for Blood and Guts. They've all got their own personal issues with the Death Riders and with Moxley. For weeks, they've pushed each other to their limits. Last week on Collision, Darby Allin made a surprise appearance from under the ring to keep Jon Moxley at ringside and secure Roderick Strong the victory via countout. That means that the babyface will have the advantage going into Blood and Guts first. Despite this, the Death Riders, they do have experience on their side, particularly when you compare to the opponents they're facing off against this evening. Every single member of the Death Riders has competed in a Blood and Guts match before. Tonight, Moxley, Castagnoli, Yuta actually set a record for the most Blood and Guts matches in AEW history, all with 3 appearances. They also have this offer, shall we say, from Don Callis and the Don Callis family for extra reinforcements in exchange for doing some extra damage to Kyle Fletcher's TNT Championship Full Gear opponent, Mark Briscoe. Of course, remember, if Mark Briscoe loses that match at Full Gear, he must join the Don Callis family. Now, the Death Riders declined the offer for now, but you feel like, given that they planted that seed, something is probably going to happen there. So whether it is them getting involved, there have been rumors that maybe the Death Riders are going to turn on Moxley at some point. We'll have to wait and see. Now, as of right now, as far as I'm aware, we don't have a match with the Death Riders, or Moxley or Darby Allin booked for AEW Full Gear. So it'll be interesting to see coming out of this where they go. Obviously, there's a real possibility they could be involved in the Casino Gauntlet match, I suppose, for that AEW National Championship. But we shall see, certainly indeed. And maybe there's a hostile takeover of the Death Riders from the Don Callis family. Not that that faction needs to get any bigger, but we'll wait and see indeed who survives the men's Blood and Guts match this evening. So there you go, guys. There are 5 possible major surprises that could be set to take place live tonight on Aew Dynamite, the Blood and Guts special. What are your thoughts, opinions, predictions? Let me know, as always, in the comment section below. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. As you can see right here, we are less than 150 subscribers to go until 25k. Yes, we're going to hit 25k hopefully in 2025. That was our goal, that we kind of reset around WrestleMania period. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. Really appreciate everyone for tuning in, as always, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.